everyone. Welcome to season 2 of the zwsb.24 podcast. Welcome. We are so thankful and grateful that you are here with us. Hey, sis, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Hey, sis. I'm so excited that we are on season 2, episode 2, bringing some great stuff to you guys today.
Yes, we definitely are. We are in the fall swing of things. Leaves are falling out there. All of the good fall things, coffee, pumpkin spice. It's my favorite season. But yes, we're so excited today. We've got some special guests that we will introduce to you all in just a moment. But before we do that, let's get started with the current event.
So I have a current event for you guys. So as you know, Wendy's, they have been doing a meal deal for the longest time. The 4 for 4, if you know, you know. You get hungry, you want something for a deal, you go through the drive-thru, you get you a 4 for 4. Then they upgraded to the biggie bag. Of course, they have, the 5, like you can get a larger sized item for $5. Well, guess what, guys? Burger King has jumped on the bandwagon, and so has, you're never going to guess who, McDonald's. So McDonald's now has a $5 meal deal. You can get a burger, a small fry, and chicken nuggets and a soft drink for just $5 plus tax wherever you are. So that's not bad, if you are, running late or you just need to grab something for the kids for dinner. I mean, you got your choices. You got Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's. I know a couple weeks ago, guys, you guys probably heard about the recall on Boar's Head lunch meat.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, so there's a recall on Boar's Head lunch meat, an outbreak of listeria within that deli meat, and they've also found it within ramen noodles. Crazy. So, and the ironic thing is that a couple weeks ago, I bought a package of ramen noodles. My son, he actually can take things like, the ramen cups or mac and cheese for lunch. And we recently had to stop that just because of the listeria outbreak. So instead of running home and making ramen or making a sandwich, hit up your Wendy's, hit up your Burger King. Or, I mean, for those diehard Mickey D's lover, you can get Mickey D's for $5.
Oh my God. So listen here, guys. So my husband does this. I haven't actually done it myself. I typically just get like the 10-piece nuggets, even at Wendy's, because I don't know. I love their nuggets and their barbecue sauce. That stuff is on point.
Wait a minute. I have to ask you this. I don't mean to cut you off. Spicy nugget or regular?
I've had spicy. I love spicy, but something about the classic with the barbecue sauce. But I have had the spicy.
Yeah.
They're really, really good.
Y'all tell us, are you a spicy nugget person or regular nugget? I'm a spicy nugget girl with the ghost pepper ranch sauce.
Oh, man, that is good. I have had that. Yeah, so comment below, let us know. No, thank you so much for sharing. It's just crazy because we do that in our family, but I did not know the other places too that they do that as well. And watch Taco Bell hop on that. Something about all of these, I don't know, these food chains, fast food chains, coming up with all these things. They have to compete with each other. So yeah, no, that's good for a quick meal, on a school night. So thank you so much for sharing. But really quick, guys, I'm your girl Z. This is Stephanie. We're your co-host for the evening. This week's topic for season 2, episode 2 is let's talk about all things marriage. So what we would like to do is present to you all our spouses. All right, so we have our spouses, Dominic and Floyd, if they would join in with us tonight. I'll give a round of applause. He's over here acting silly. Oh my goodness.
Oh, snap.
Yes. How are you gentlemen doing today?
How are you doing, babe?
It's as real as it gets, everyone. Thank you so much.
Raw and uncut.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. So we want to let them introduce themselves. If you all can just let us know what you do for a living, a hobby, anything you'd like to let the viewers know about you.
Should I start?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm Dominic, Z's husband. I just got out of the military after 14 years, United States Army. Currently working for the Department of Defense, doing intelligence oversight for the Army.
You have a hobby, something that you do?
Of course.
Can you?
Playing the trumpet. I've been playing the trumpet since the 7th grade, and I also like to work out. So one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for being here, babe. Floyd, you want to share about yourself, something, a hobby of yours, and what you do for a living?
Don't be shy. Here with you.
We are family here.
Hey, I'm Floyd. I am Army Reserve. On the civilian side, I work for Huntington Ingalls. Also, we run a business from home, screen printing and embroidery. As a hobby, I think I do too many things. Just like Dominic, also a musician. So plenty of things keep my hands full.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank both of you for your service. I always want to tell all our veterans that. But yes, you are super talented, Floyd. It's been an honor to be, a close friend of the family. I've seen all your work, and you are awesome what you do. And the same thing goes to my husband. So super multi-talented over here. And it doesn't get any better than this, you guys. So we're super excited to have them here on this episode. But we wanted to kind of talk about how we met. I'm sure the viewers want to know a little bit about ourselves. So do you want to share? You want me to share? I'll start. So
Okay.
You could just share a little bit. Okay. So my husband, my husband and I have been together, married for 16 years. But next year hits 20, and we just celebrated our 16th anniversary just a couple of weeks ago. So it's been a blessing. And where we met was actually at Old Dominion University back in 2005. Yes, he was a junior. I was a freshman, and he got me. So, but I'm gonna let him share a little bit how it went and how we are here where we are now.
Well, I'm happy she's letting me share how it went, because I think her story is maybe a little bit fabricated or different from what I remember.
Okay.
But I saw Stephanie in the library. I worked many jobs when I was at Old Dominion, and library just being one of like 4. And I would work on the 3rd floor in the circulation department, and I saw Stephanie there. Kept seeing her around campus, and then I saw her at church, and I saw her hanging out with her friends at the basketball game. She was behind the band, and when I saw Stephanie, I just thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world. And I was a junior. It was about that time to start settling down, looking for that girl.
Okay.
And every opportunity that I saw Stephanie, I made sure I spoke and said something so I can let her know that I was interested in her. And so
low-key stalking, but
like I said, when she came to my job, both jobs,
where every student studies, this is public places.
Yeah, so it wasn't stalking. So
Okay.
So I made myself available to her, and she made herself available to me. And 20 years later, we have 3 children because of it. Anything different you'd like to add?
There are some things in there, but no, you explain it very beautifully. But the one thing I want to mention, which how Stephanie and I met mutually, was at the same church that my husband and I didn't even realize that we were around each other pretty much from the age of 9, but didn't really actually know that we went to the same church until I met him in college, which is crazy. I've been around him all my life and never saw him until college. So, but yeah, that's pretty much sums up how we met.
So I can explain a little bit of that reason, because I was a heathen and I sat in the back, in the front, and heathens, and so anyway, I didn't see you because you were all the way up in the front praising, worshiping, and all that stuff, and probably dancing and speaking in tongues. And I was in the back coming in to church late. So there you go.
He is not a heathen, you guys. But yes, they would sit in the back. And yes, I was in the front with my sis here because we were involved in youth services and all of that. So, but yes, thank you so much for sharing. I'm excited to hear about how you all met.
Yeah. So do you want to start or do you?
No, I'll let you go ahead. And
Okay,
then
you're gonna let me go ahead. Okay.
Because you want to add fluff, and then
I am not.
To,
this is going to be the truth, straight to the point.
I'm going to cut the fluff.
So Floyd and I, we actually met at church a long time ago. We have been married for 13 years. We just celebrated our 13th year this year, and we met at church. So I first saw Floyd, and his mom was working in the nursery, and so my mom also volunteered to work in the nursery. And Floyd's 2 years older than me, so he's 2 years ahead of me in school. And at the time, I had to have been maybe like 8th grade. I was in 8th grade, and he was, I think you were probably a sophomore in high school. So I saw him. I literally, guys, I thought he was the coolest person I had ever seen in my entire life. So why are you really You're thinking about, he doesn't even remember that moment, but
go ahead.
I saw him and I just remember saying hello to him, and he was I just thought he was the cutest person I'd ever seen. So later on, I guess because I was like in junior youth groups, Z and I were in junior youth group at the time, and he was like in a higher youth group than I was. So I didn't really talk to him. I just saw him that one time. And then eventually I graduated from middle school and went into like the senior youth group. And I remember seeing him again, but Floyd thought I was a nerd. So we just kind of hung out in the same friend group. And then one day he just saw me differently. And that was it, really. That's how we met. And then he asked me out, and then I had to turn him down because there was somebody else.
Oh,
but yeah. But then, I mean, it's all history now because we're married 13 years later.
Yeah.
Is that what you remember?
So just to adjust your story a little bit, going back to when you first saw me, yeah, I never knew you existed. I just didn't see you. Ever.
It's okay.
But, fast forward a little bit, we were in this youth group. It was called
RYC.
No, this is before RYC.
Vision Force.
Vision Force.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Or it was like JV Force, whatever. And I do remember doing an exercise in JV Force. I don't know if this particular time we was doing like a mock court case or whatever the case may be. I don't know.
I remember that. Okay. Yes, I remember.
But I do remember we had to do this exercise, or we had to write down on a sheet of paper of the things that we looked for in a partner. And we had, I don't know if we listed like 10 things or however long the list was. I wrote down all the things that I thought at the time I wanted in a partner. And this was around the time when this is high school. This is around the time where I think I may have noticed that you existed. Y'all was on the praise and worship team. You did wear like coveralls and stuff, baggy coveralls and corduroys and all that stuff like that. Yeah. That's when I noticed you. It wasn't.
It's okay. I want to.
Yep.
You know the coveralls, you take one strap off and you
were cool.
Yeah.
You didn't take one strap. But look, we noticed
they were both
fastened. You were noticeable because you were different. And you stood out.
Yep, I'm different.
That's how I noticed you. But aside from that, the list that I made, I did look at that list, and as I got to know you, I started checking off things off the list for all these qualifications that you started meeting, and I started paying more attention to you. Long story short, she checked off on every list that I had on that paper. I don't know what all those things were today, I just know that as I got to know her, she was checking off on all those things that I started to list as what I wanted in an actual partner. And I mean, at a time like that, how do you really know what you really want?
Yeah.
You just, at the time, you think you may know what that perfect person may be. Um, so she just happened to fit what I thought perfection was at the time. And here we are.
Oh, yay. That's a beautiful story. It really is. While you were talking, Senior is not a heathen, guys. Apparently he went to Vision Force too. Maybe he was in the back seat. I don't know. I didn't see. No, but that's amazing. See, he was talking about how junior year of college that you started thinking, okay, it's time to find someone. And you started earlier than we did, Floyd. Look at you checking off stuff.
That was just a checklist.
God
I
had
still
a
didn't know she
plan.
existed, though.
Can't get over.
It's messed up.
But you were there. You were there. You were cute. You're doing your thing. Apparently, I mean, look at y'all now. So no, thank you guys for sharing. So we're gonna move on to our next discussion here. So this one, feel free to be open as much as you'd like to. But I was just doing some research. So what makes a marriage work? And of course, we have our own dynamics. Okay, but when I was coming across a website, it's called All One Health, and I'll make sure to drop that link in the description below. But it was talking about the 3 C's of a relationship that make it work. And the 3 C's were communication, compromise, and commitment. And when I was thinking about that, I was just like, you know what? These 3 C's, literally, if we were able to do all of these things, it could help strengthen a marriage. So, of course, communication is being open to being able to talk, being able to discuss about, you know, being able to discuss openly and to be able to accept some things, even though some things that you discuss, whatever that may be difficult. Compromising, that's another one. So we may not always have the same goals or be very similar in some of the things that we do, but being open to accept individualism between us and being able to compromise different things. So, and then commitment, that's a really big one. Knowing what our purpose is in our marriage and making it work and doing whatever it takes to stay committed. And for us, because we are Christians, and making sure that we remember God's commitment to us and what a marriage is and our vows to each other and what we're going to do to continue that no matter what it is that we go through, trials, tribulations, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that. So what I wanted to know is if we can get a discussion about, are there any of these as a couple that we're willing to share that maybe we struggle with? Because I know it can be hard. Do you all have maybe one of those, either if it's communication, compromise, or commitment that we struggle with?
So I'll go ahead and start. So communication is something that I have definitely struggled with throughout our marriage, and I've grown and I've had to grow. When Floyd and we initially got married, we were young, and of course, we grew up differently. We have different personalities, and I am not good with time and space. So there would be maybe like a small issue at hand or challenge that we would face. And Floyd does best with just kind of taking that in and processing it quietly and then talking. Well, for me, I want to talk about it right then and there. And that's not the right time to always talk when there, is a pressing issue at hand. So for me, I equated that to, you don't want to talk to me, therefore you don't love me or you don't like me anymore, or I did something wrong. So then what I would do is I would constantly ask him, hey, is everything okay? What did I say? Why are you upset? And it actually made the tension grow even more. So what I had to learn in my maturity as a person and as a wife is that not right now is the proper time to talk about things. Sometimes you do need space. Like if you're both upset about a situation, it's better to take a minute, process it individually and then talk about it together, because you don't want to risk saying something you don't mean to say. You don't want to risk maybe raising your voice. It's just better to take a beat and feel what you feel individually and then come back and talk about it. Or even, there may be some things that happen, like maybe the way that he said something to me, I may have taken it in a I may have taken it differently than he intended it. And I think, with an intense situation, it may not be the best time to address it then, but maybe at a different time when you're calmer to say, hey, the way you asked me to do that, I didn't really like it. Or the way that it made me feel, this is the way, when you said that, this is the way that it made me feel. So communication is definitely something that we've grown in. I've grown myself in our marriage. And what I strive for is to communicate with him in the most loving way possible, in the most effective way possible, because I don't want to be the person that gives the best part of myself everywhere else. And then when I come home, I'm tired, I'm upset, and I'm carrying all that baggage from, work or wherever back on him, because at the end of the day, this is my person. And so he deserves only the best parts of me. And we fall short, and we don't always do that, but I'm learning, and we're ever becoming. What would you say?
Can you ask me the question the way you asked it so I can answer you instead of responding
Gotcha.
to everything she just said?
It was just asking, out of the 3 C's, communication, compromise, and commitment, are any of those as a couple that you struggle with?
All right, so my response is still going to be communication. At this point, after being married for so long, it's not a struggle because we have more of an understanding for each other. But starting out, and I'd probably say for anybody, is communication, because I think there's 2 top things that can make or break a relationship, but communication being one of those top 2. It's definitely communication, because of, one, how you communicate with each other. She's already said that when we started off, we communicate differently, we understand things differently, but as we've grown to understand each other and how we receive information from each other and how we understand how to pull back, we can just understand now based off observation, like, all right, maybe now might not be the best time, or maybe I should approach a certain situation this way instead of this way. Now we take a minute to actually assess how we want to address certain situations, and that's the initial part of how we start to communicate, rather than just diving straight in to look for a resolution or figure out what a answer to a problem may be. But communication for sure is one of the things we had to work through. Now I really don't think communication between the 2 of us is even an issue.
No,
I don't think.
not anymore. I'm so proud of where we are and how far we've come, because I'm just going to say this. There have been times that I have walked down the street by myself and it was all out of, like, this is how immature I was, everyone. And I'm just going to be transparent here. There would be times it would be something super small and he wouldn't talk to me, and I would just go walking and hoping that he would come look for me. But that would just make matters worse, because he would just, I remember, and I hope you're okay with me sharing, I remember him driving around the neighborhood trying to find me. And instead of me in my mind thinking that he's going to say, I'm so sorry, like, get in the car, let's go back home, it was not that way. He was like, what were you thinking? Like, it's dangerous for you to walk in the middle of the night down the street, Stephanie. Like, what in the world is going on with you? But in my mind, I'm equating this to be like the movies that I see on TV at the tender age of 24. But
yeah, I don't remember that.
You don't remember driving?
No, I don't.
At your parents' house?
But I do know that sometimes I have to think, for the both of us.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's yeah. So as you were saying that, we've had those times too where we also either mostly him, he'll walk out, and this is what I'm gonna say. So for us, and I know he'll agree with me. That's why he's looking at me like that. Communication, and it's still something, to be honest, that we struggle with. It's something that we're still working on. I mean, there are things that I don't want to say we sweat necessarily small things. My thing for me is I wrap myself on what ifs. And those what ifs are not always the things that are going to turn out to be. And so I stress myself. I'll come off a little bit different. I don't mean to come off that way, but I'm like you, Stephanie. If something is bothering me, it could be something simple. It's like the Bible says, don't go to sleep angry. And that's how I am, but I take it to the extreme. I literally, it's something that I've worked on a lot, and I've gotten better, because I used to be like that years ago, where I will nag him and talk to him like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, it was at that point, and he would literally leave and be gone like for hours. And then I would take it personally, which sometimes it does. You're trying to make that person maybe feel like how they felt when I'm here blowing at him. Or sometimes he just be like, I need to get away from my wife, this chick, because she is bothering me. Now we'll talk, and sometimes still we'll struggle with it, but it's not like that anymore, where I'm trying to find him or he's trying to find me, or trying to be in a separate space. Right. But there's still something that we try to work through, but it also kind of goes with compromising. I have noticed that. So for those that have watched season 1, know that I am, and just like Stephanie, I am a military spouse, and I've had to put a lot of, my husband was active duty this whole time, and we moved every 2 years. I mean, there were times when he would get stationed somewhere for like 5 months. And so we would have moved twice in a year, depending on what it is that he needed to train for. And we would come and travel with him. And so me trying to find a career was very difficult, and it bothered me to my core. Even to this day, even though I'm thankful for the job that I have, I do work from home and I work for the government. It worked out for us, and he's no longer in the service, but I found myself struggling to communicate to him what my needs are, like the need to want to work, because I'm that kind of, and there are people, I'm not saying that it's wrong for those that are just at home and they're stay-at-home moms or fathers, but I've always wanted to work, but I've always wanted to do something that I enjoy, even though it may be a hobby of mine. I've always wanted to make that hobby my job, because I'm just a creative person. There's things that I want to do. And sometimes I think because I feel like he maybe not be compromising some of that with me, it kind of spews into the communication, and then we kind of go at it. So it's somewhat of a struggle, but we're balancing, and we're learning through it, and we're nowhere where we used to be back in our 20s. I mean, we were young parents. I think a lot of that was in there. You're waking up all night with the kids, you're trying to make money for your family, and you just don't communicate well because your needs are not getting met as a couple, because everything is worried about finances, worried about the kids, and we don't take time to really learn it. But I will say this, that has helped us. And for anyone out there, I believe in counseling. Even if you're doing well, premarital counseling, while you're married. And we've done that, not just because we're going through necessarily something. It just helps us be accountable, for each other, and be able, if it's something we can't communicate together, we want to speak to someone that was unbiased, who's licensed, that can, help and assist us with whatever we're going through. But for me, it's definitely communication with also compromising. What do you think?
I would say communication. I'm just going to piggyback off of what Floyd and Stephanie said. When you said operating in time and space, that really clicked me, because that's like a military term. But definitely really focuses on how you communicate with each other. I think that's what we had issues with, or have issues up to this point, honestly. Understanding the situation right then and there, really focusing on your tone, focusing on what's going on, the whole situation. Are the kids around? Are we alone? So time and space definitely plays its roles, and really looking at it, focusing on those things to make sure that, you know, we have an understanding of each other's wants and need at that time would definitely help with communication overall for, I think, almost anyone.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good.
I think just to kind of piggyback on what you said, Z, about therapy, I think, you know, my husband and I, we did not have any form of therapy before getting married. I would absolutely suggest it. And we did therapy while we were married, just for a short period of time. But again, in my immaturity, I didn't feel like the therapist was hearing me. And it was just kind of rough for us. And at the time we had like a newborn. You're laughing. We had a newborn, and it was just really, I mean, there was just so much to navigate in that time. Like, you know that you love each other. It's just trying to find out how to love each other based on your first images of love, because our image of love comes from what we see growing up. So as children, you know, in your home, with your friends, with your family, like your grandparents, your cousins, your siblings, those are your first introductions of love. And so things along the way happen to you as a child, you know, in the home or in school. And I think that it's very important, you know, if you're not having therapy together, like, get it for yourself, you know, just to help you unpack these things, because unresolved trauma is definitely a thing. And, you know, I don't know about Z and Dominic, but in my family, you know, growing up in a West Indian household, and Floyd, I don't know about you, there was no such thing as therapy. Like, I couldn't tell my parents that I was depressed, because they would ask me, so what are you depressed about? Like, you live in America, like, you have a home, you have food on the table. There's nothing to be depressed about, not understanding that there are other contributors outside that can contribute to you feeling a certain type of way. So I really love what you said there. Premarital counseling is awesome.
I wish
Counseling.
I had done it, and we didn't. Our premarital counseling was when our son was born. He just he basically made us have to just learn. Like, you know, kids don't get born with a manual, and it will take certain things out of you. And it's not to be mean to each other. It just, I absolutely love what God has done for our family. I'm thankful that, looking back now, without God, honestly, I don't know how we made it through, but we did. But yeah, I definitely would agree. Premarital counseling would have definitely probably helped us during those hard times. So we laugh at it now, but listen, many nights of crying, just going through it. But yeah, you guys, I mean, you guys know too. So, but yeah, no, that's no, that's good.
The reason why I'm laughing over here is because, thinking back when we tried to do the premarital counseling or whatever, when we say we tried it, I think we went to one session.
We went to two. Two sessions.
Well, I guess I just only remember the second, because when we was trying to find the counselor, we're like singling out or canceling out people that we know we don't want to go through. So we didn't want to go through our church, because we was like,
then people know us.
Ain't none of their business. They
Yeah,
knew. And so we eliminated like our actual church because of the relationship. And so she found this Christian counselor that we had started going to. And the reason why I'm laughing is because I thought it was only one session, because that's the only one I remember. But I do remember sitting there, and we're sitting on this couch across from the counselor. Stephanie's on my left side. And in the moment, it just felt like the counselor was pointing out all the faults and directing them towards Stephanie. And I'm just sitting there like, she right.
In that moment, look, in that moment, I was like,
I felt like I was winning.
Wait a minute. I got to go, because this ain't right.
This is not a Christian
organization. Stephanie, she was hot. She was like, I don't want to go back. I'm like, I don't see nothing wrong with it.
I felt attacked. I
I
felt very.
feel like we've had similar. Okay, y'all, we have been through many sessions. Not one, not two, 4 different counselors with many different sessions. But I do remember going through that at first. Yeah, we did one when we were stationed. And I'm sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm gonna forget. So what is Fort Bragg now?
Fort Liberty.
Fort Liberty. They're changing those. So I remember coming across. So I was part of a women's Christian group with a good friend of mine for years, and she had told me about an organization because I didn't want to go to the church either because I was like, I don't want to know my business because right now I'm part of the praise and worship team, y'all. When you look at me, you're just thinking she's all put together. So to be honest, I didn't either. I get it. Probably should have been the best thing to do, but I had found a organization, and I don't know if you remember, it was, and I did this on purpose. I found a male counselor because I wanted him to feel like it wouldn't be just directed towards me or him, to be fair, because sometimes it can matter about the sex of the counselor. Females tend to, I mean, they're biased to some extent. We hope that they're not. So I was like, okay, we got a male counselor in here. He's gonna help us. But I felt that way too, Stephanie. I was like, okay, I'm here trying to help you, but he's really not listening to what I'm saying here. Like, I'm like, what? And he's Christian too, and I get it. He actually, I don't remember, he opened up in prayer and he ended in prayer, which is great. Not with like the Bible or anything. He just opened up like that. But the whole time I was just like, well, what about me? We didn't even address what I'm going through. We went to that one. We did go through 2 sessions, and then I was like, I can't do this. I'm gonna go through. What is the organization through the military? What do they call that?
MFLAT or something.
Or MWR? No, not MWR. I can't remember what it was.
MFLAT or something.
So I decided to go through them because let me see, because you can't choose. It's just whoever gets assigned to you. This was a female. I remember her giving us a journal and paperwork to do, and she was just hitting all the points. And he's sitting there like, this ain't gonna work because now it's all about you. He felt like he was getting attacked. So it's kind of, but this last one that we had, we did go through, I think 12 weeks with this specific lady that's here locally in the area. And she was actually, I thought she was amazing. She wasn't biased at all. She hit on the points for my husband as well as me. And so I'm really appreciative of her. I would love to see her again. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I kind of went through the same situation with him. But yeah, no, definitely counseling is a great thing to go through, even when you're going through a good time.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely really great. But I wanted to get on to our next discussion, and it's called What is Your Love Language? So just really quick before I let Stephanie kind of share about the different types of love languages. Senior and I came across I think the author is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to look here, Gary Chapman. It was a purple book. Mm-hmm. And I remember it had rings on it and said 5 love languages. And the military had, I think, a marriage retreat. I was actually pregnant with Christian. And when this marriage retreat came up, I signed us up really quick because we were in the middle. We were struggling through some of these things that we talked about earlier. And it was really neat. I actually didn't hear about it until then. So we both had our own book. They gave it to us for free. We took the little, well, I say little, it was actually pretty extensive. I think it was like 20 or 30 questions. But you guys, if you check it out, I'll put the link to in the description. So if you want to check what your love language is. But what I found really interesting is you get to see from the receiving end what love language you are. So sometimes that can affect our communication. It can affect, how we compromise and how we commit to each other. But if we learn what our love language is and give the love language to the person that receives it, their type of love language, it really does help. But I'll let you go into it, Stephanie, and let us know what the different 5 love languages are.
Sure. So the 5 love languages, first you have words of affirmation. And what words of affirmation would be, an example of it would be telling someone that they did a good job. So let's say my husband cooks dinner, letting him know, like, I really appreciated you taking time to cook dinner. It was really great. And, that took a lot off of my plate for you to do that. That would be an example of words of affirmation. quality time. So in our busy lives, we can get very, we can succumb to a routine where we go to work, come home, eat dinner, take care of the kids, kiss each other, and then go to bed. Well, you
Mhm.
have to be very intentional in a marriage about spending time together. So if that means putting the kids to bed, or maybe asking your parents to watch them so you can watch a movie or do something together. Like this past weekend, I know we saw uh, Z and Dominic a couple weeks ago, and two of their other friends. They were doing a line dance. Well, my daughter would not let me put her down, so I could not partake in the fun. So this past weekend, my husband took some time to show me that line dance. So we just had fun being together, being silly, and he was very intentional about it. He could have done something else. We're very busy. We have a running list of things to do that we
Mhm.
get to check off sometimes, and sometimes we don't check anything off. We're just constantly adding to it. So that is an example of quality time, acts of
Mhm.
service, doing something for your loved one. So, for instance, if my husband says, "Hey, my back hurts," or "My shoulders hurt," it's been, a very stressful day at work, just taking some time, rubbing his shoulder, rubbing his back, or scheduling him a massage, something like that. That's an act of service. Gift. Who doesn't like a gift? So, a while ago, my husband was looking for this particular drink and he could not find it anywhere. It was sold out. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to hunt that down.
Huh.
I'm going to get it for him and I'm going to bring it to him. And it wasn't a huge thing, but it was something that made him smile. And
Yeah.
so just seeing him smile made me happy.
Aw.
Um, Last but not least, physical touch. So, just like holding him, putting my head on him or her, whoever, your spouse is. Um, Physical touch. Sometimes people need that. Sometimes people just need to be held or hugged or, any of those things. But those are the 5 love languages and an example of each.
Thank you so much for sharing. So I'm curious. So we're not going to take the test right now, guys, but you can definitely do that. So Senior and I have done it. And the thing is with the love languages, it can change because we all grow. There are things as you go through your marriage and like, okay, that's not what I need now. It's kind of shifted into something else. So I know for me, it's always been the number one thing is quality time. And when I mean quality time, it's no cell phones. Doesn't necessarily mean no kids, but if it's just us, whatever we choose to do, we're not distracted by something else. So if we're watching, he's looking at me. If we're watching a movie, I don't want us to be on our phones. Like I'm here. Or if we're on a date, and there are times we still take pictures. Like we're those people that take picture of our food. We'll take picture like selfies together that we're somewhere. But for the most part, because one thing I don't like doing or seeing is when I walk into a restaurant, literally everyone is on their cell phone. It's like, why are we here? We could have just ate at home and did that if that's really what you wanted to do. So quality time has definitely been something that for me anyways, that works for me. And that's what I want to receive from him. I know sometimes, we get really busy and we have to actually schedule, and that's okay to schedule time. Like that's okay. Life there, you got kids that are got a lot of things going on in their schedule, or maybe you have time with your own extended family and you just need to try to make time, or just even with work, scheduling that time. But the other thing that I've noticed that I've grown, which I haven't shared with Senior, acts of service is now becoming like almost the number one thing for me. And I think it's just because, and it's not to make him feel any less himself. He does so much for the family. He's our breadwinner. He's always taken care of the family. But what I can say is I would love, because I have to take the other bulk. I work too, but I'm the one that cooks in the house. I'm the one that pretty much cleans the house. And because of where he works he works in the city, his commute is so long. I do have to take the responsibility to take all 3 of my kids to their doctor's appointments, let alone take care of myself, wake up every morning, take my daughter to school and things of that nature. So there are some things that for acts of service would be like maybe take up a meal or 2 a week and actually be committed to it and stick with it. So, because it helps me, you know, use that time for somewhere else that it could be done. So I'm noticing about myself, even if it's something simple as just vacuum this room for me, it's something simple like that is an act of service that I would say for me that would help me. I know from before, my husband's the kind of person that he likes physical touch and I think gifts, but I might be wrong. That might have changed because he just gave me a look. What is your love language?
So it's changed and it will keep changing as I grow. It was physical touch and it was gifts when I was younger. And at some point, all of them were relevant to me. But I think now, as I grow and mature and understand my role I consider myself a traditional man. I think words of affirmation would be good because I don't have a lot of time. I mean, the kids take up our time. We gotta work. That also goes with acts of service. I mean, putting this house together. I mean, that's for everyone. I don't expect gifts from my wife. She wants to give me a gift. That's fine. Physical touch. I mean, that's almost like it's expected, and I don't think we necessarily ever have a problem with physical. But words of affirmation, like as being a man is literally a thankless job, but it's nice to get a thank you. Thank you for doing that, blah blah blah. Thank you for going to work. Thank you for blah blah blah. So I mean, those are nice things. They don't have to get them all the time, but
I'll do better, babe. I'll do better, babe.
But it's nice to hear.
I will say this. Okay.
I don't ask for much.
No, you don't. I will say this. I that's what I was trying to pinpoint. I think it's words of affirmation now because, well, here's the thing, everyone who's viewing, and it's something that I've had to come to realize. So when my husband does cook, he expects a thank you. In my mind, I'm thinking, I don't get that every time I cook. We'll be honest. Every time I clean the toilet bowl, do I get a thank you? Like, do I? I mean, but you you have to not think like that and say, you know what? He does so much for me. That's the least I can do is say thank you. I think I do say thank you, but not necessarily always for everything. Because in my mind, which I fail at things. I mean, I'm human. Things that I don't think I necessarily be thankful for, but I need to work on that.
It doesn't even have to be that. It could be like, thank you for the light bill.
Thank you for
because we got AC.
Yeah, I was about to say thank you for the air. Thank you.
I'm like, you welcome.
I will do that. Thank you. Thank you for the blinds. Thank you for the curtains and the fans you installed. We got a new home, guys. Yeah, so but anyways, I'm curious to see what you love languages.
What's your love language? What do you think your love language is?
It's changed.
Wait, we've never taken this test, so we're just
y'all got to do that.
We're gonna have to take it.
Are we doing this live like right now?
No, we're not taking the test right now. But what do you think? Yeah, sorry.
Based off the list that you just said, yeah, I know for sure mine's changed, and some things for me definitely. And I'm looking at your list. It's going to sleep though. Gifts. I never really expected gifts because I just felt like I can get my own gifts. And I think, me personally, I think a lot of people's gifts were like a letdown. So just give me a gift card. Just give me a gift card. And I think that's the perfect gift in any situation because
he's so honest.
Her gift giving, her level was never on my level.
Babe.
So,
oh my gosh.
But I always appreciated what she's done.
It's from the heart.
Right. So I never communicated.
You didn't like that picture I drew you.
So I never expected gifts. I just, give me a gift card, we'll keep it moving, whatever. Physical touch in the beginning was like, we were in the beginning stages. So it was like, yeah, touch. Now she really likes the physical touch and stuff like that. And sometimes she'll come around where I'm like in the mood to go to sleep. And she wants to, and it's like, all right, well, now it's not even comfortable because now my arm gonna go to sleep. I gotta readjust myself to make sure you comfortable. And yeah, it's nah. Physical touch is nice, but it's not top tier for me. I think at the current moment, maybe acts of service, I would say, especially when they're unexpected. And I guess this will fit into an active service type thing, not necessarily towards me, but I think it's towards her. So, quick prime example, we were sitting around the dinner table, and our son Braden, before that particular evening, he was saying, asking if I was taking him to practice because by the time he comes home from practice, all he has time to do is take a shower, eat dinner, then he has to go to sleep. But she would come in so late on certain days that when she comes in, we got to wait for her to cook dinner, and we're up like 8 something sometimes later at night just to sit down and eat dinner together before we can all go to sleep. And my day starts so early that I really don't want to wait that late to wait for dinner to be prepared for everybody. And I never really said anything because that was just my personal feelings. But then my son brought it up. He was like, I just got to wait so late to eat dinner, and I just want to go to bed or whatever. So while we're at dinner on that particular evening, I was like, look, what days are you coming in later from work, from whatever you got going on? She said it was Monday, Thursday, and Friday. I said, all right, so these are the days that you won't have to cook. I will take over that. So on Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, dinner will be on me. I'll figure out that. So when you come home, dinner will be prepared. Therefore, we can get our evening on, started earlier. Everybody won't be rushing or feel rushed, whatever the case may be. And you can have that little pocket of time to relax, whatever you need to do. So it helped her out. So that, I felt like the act of service, and I wasn't expecting a thank you or anything in return because I was also doing that to help me out as well as someone else out. But that also goes back previously when we was talking about communication, just sitting down, communicating that with her. So yeah, right now I think it's acts of service, especially when it's not expected. Is a good love language currently.
I think for me, all of them. Like, give me some words of affirmation. Spend time with me.
For like the
Acts of service. Let's do something for me. Give me a little gift here and there. You can even draw me a picture, write me a letter, put in my lunch bag. And then physical touch. I like to be hugged. I like to hug him. I like to
got your work cut out for you.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm a lover girl.
Yeah.
Well, what I would advise y'all to do, is take the test, because then you really will see what it is. And then you'll see too, Stephanie, like, and there'll be like a top 1 or top 2, and then you'll really see. But no, you got your work cut out for you for it.
You want to keep
later.
All right. So last thing today, guys, is we do want to thank our spouses for joining in today. But before we go, let's just have a quick open discussion. If there's one thing from each of us as a couple, some kind of marriage goal or advice that we can give. I know for me, what's important. So what makes a marriage work? That's very important. I'm just going to touch on it real quick. Dating your spouse is very important. Some people feel that, you do what it takes, right, to get that person, whatever it is, whatever their interest is. And the moment you get married, it's like, okay, I can chill now because I got them. We're married, but really you have to continue to date that person as if you're like on a first or second date. That's what keeps it going, keeping things alive. I know sometimes it can be hard to figure out something new to do, but date that person. Be intimate, whatever that is. It doesn't just mean sex, right? It could also mean the physical touch. Make time for each other. I think that's important. What is something that you guys would give advice to anyone that's viewing?
Do you have something?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. I would say listen. Be a good listener. That's something that I always have something to say. And I'm just I'm a loquacious person, especially with people that I love and I know. So what I do, my husband is a really good listener. And that's something that I would say, make sure to listen without speaking, really think about what that person is saying, and be your spouse's biggest cheerleader. Support them no matter what, hear them out. Um, so listening and be their biggest cheerleader, support them.
That's good.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Did you want to share anything else? Or
I would say always seek peace within your household. I know
That's
since we were kids, we saw the Disney princess and saw marriages being happily ever after. And we all know it's not like that in real life, but that's how we were taught. So a lot of people go and seek happiness. And I would say seek that peace within your household. Know that there are going to be moments of that happiness, but if you have a peaceful household, you're going to raise happy children. You're going to, there's going to be so many different blessings in your life.
good.
So don't always strive for that happily ever after. Strive for peace.
That's good. That's good. I just want to say one other thing. I really love what you guys shared today. That's really important, especially, with people navigating marriage at any stage. That's really good. But surround yourself. They say have a village for your children, but have a village for yourself as a couple. So, whether that be your parents or maybe that are good friends that are like you guys share the same values. Surround yourself with people like that will lift you up, and pray for you in times that you need prayer, and celebrate with you. Like, I know my husband and I, we couldn't be more excited that you guys just purchased a brand new home, and we're so excited that God has blessed you in that way, and we're so excited to celebrate with you guys in the future. But definitely surround yourself with those people. That's really important, to surround yourself with people that are going to celebrate you, that are going to lift you up, that are going to pray for you and your children, and just always have a positive thing coming out of their mouth. So thank you guys. Thank you, honey, for
thank
joining.
you for joining us today, guys. And I'm just gonna go ahead and let Stephanie let you know about our next episode.
So, guys, tune into this podcast every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Episode 3 premieres next Tuesday, October 15th. So if you don't know, I'm going to tell you that zwsb.24, we are on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. So please follow, like, share, and subscribe to us. And we'll see you soon, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye, you guys. Bye, everyone.
Bye, sis.
Sorry.